The winter winds have blown and brought about a change of luck as spots move down the road. This is Safari Live. Good morning everybody, and welcome to an epic start to our sunrise safari on this Monday morning. As you can see, we've got Tingana walking down the road, and what a way to begin our week. Now, my name is Tristan, and on camera today I've got Ferg, and a very, very, very big thank you to all of you that let us know that there was a leopard sawing on Djuma Dam Camp. So remember, you can now ask any questions, or if you want to just say hello on hashtag Safari Live. But what a way to start. Look, he's even turned and looked at us. Good morning, boy. Now that is a sight for sore eyes. After 2 days or 3 days now of tracking leopards everywhere, we've been struggling, and now to just come across this big boy walking down the road is such a special way to start the day. I'm so excited. As you may be able to tell, this is going to be so cool. And the nice thing is that at least we've got him early, and it seems like he's behaving himself, because sometimes with Tingana, you'll find him and the first thing he'll do is dart into a thicket, and then you've got sort of tough time to try and keep up with him. But it seems this morning he's decided to behave himself and to just stay on the road nicely for us, and hopefully we'll be able to follow him as he goes. It's going to get a little bit hairy in places because we are going to go through a few drainage sections, and we do have our roof on because it's a rainy morning, and so hopefully he's going to be kind to us and just stay on the road as he continues his territorial patrol southwards. But he seems like he's digested a lot, because yesterday the guys told me that he was very full-bellied, and this morning it looks as though he's got a bit of a flap on that tummy, so he's obviously digested that warthog meal he had 2 days ago and has allowed himself to be able to now start doing his territorial patrols. That's why we heard that sawing earlier, as him telling everybody, this is my area, I'm back, don't think that you can come in here and take over, and so that's why he's making such a lot of noise. But how cool is this? There's something cool about finding leopards first thing in the morning and then just following them. Ferg, are you excited?
I am ecstatic.
Ferg is very happy because he says that we've been looking and searching, and before we were kind of driving along, and I was like, let's just quickly try and see if we can get to Chelapan in case this leopard's gone down Vulture's Nest. And as I had said it, Ferg's like, leopard! So we were quite excited about the fact that we found him, walking down the road. But isn't he magnificent? He's looking so good. I know he's not everybody's favorite because of some of his sketchy behavior in the past, and if you're not sure what I'm talking about, he's ate a female leopard last year after she mated with another male, and he then, took it upon himself to kill her for some reason. So he lost a bit of favor with some people, but he is a magnificent creature. Look at those spots, and you can see lots of scent marking going on. Mr. Tingana, you're being an absolute treat this morning because you're walking on the road, which is highly unusual for this cat. Often, like I say, when you find him, he decides off into the thicket and you've got to try and keep up with him. And don't you love the way leopards walk? They've got almost these bandy back legs that kind of move out, and then those front paws that flick as they move. I love watching leopards walk down the road. It's so cool. What an epic way to start the day. Sure. Now, of course, he is mobile straight south, so I don't think we're going to have him all morning. If he keeps up the pace that he's walking now and he stays on Twin Dams Road, I would imagine that within the next 45 minutes he'd probably be crossing our southern boundary. But what I'm hoping is that he's maybe going to take either Ingwe Alley or Pangolin Track and start heading towards Treehouse Dam, and maybe then go and settle there for the day. That's what I'm hoping. But let's see, because it looks like he might be angling off towards the west. Come on. Yep, well, so we're going to go down our Ingwe Alley, and it looks like we're going to head towards Philemon's Dip. So we're going to try and stay with him. And while we do that, let's go across to my friend Byron so he can say good morning. Well, indeed, he is being lovely. Like I say, he's just strolling ever so gently down the road, and every now and then he looks over his shoulder at us, but otherwise he is completely unperturbed by our presence, and he's doing a lot of scent marking. We've seen him rubbing his face on varying trees, lifting his tail and spraying, so he's been doing a lot of that, and it's probably because he actually hasn't spent that much time in this area over the last week. We've not seen too many signs of Tingana. The last time he was seen was with Taylor, when he kind of came through Treehouse Dam and then out through the northern side of into Buffels Hook. And so this area that we're in now, I haven't seen tracks for Tingana here for probably, I would say, at least 10 to 15 days. And we've just had that bit of sprinkling of rain yesterday and last night. In fact, last night there was quite a bit of drizzle that fell. Not enough to really make any puddles, but enough to see that the ground is actually quite wet and damp this morning. And that means that a lot of his territorial markings, unfortunately, have been washed away. And so for him, he's now got to get out quickly and go and remark all of his areas, so to make sure that no other younger males that could be potentially flirting around the boundaries of his territory now come in and don't notice that he's here. So that's why he's going to move a lot today. He's going to try and see if he can't just mark as many places as possible to make sure he doesn't have any intruders in his territory. So Anthony, you're wondering how often a male leopard would kill a female leopard. Well, Anthony, not very often at all. In fact, this is quite an interesting situation, and no one's 100% sure why he would have done it. You do see it sometimes if it's a female leopard that's younger than 2 years and she's not able to mate, then sometimes the males will do this. They'll go and kill her because they still want to bring the female that is the mother back into estrus and mate with her. So it does happen there. But an adult female that's able to breed is very, very, very unusual that a leopard would do that. And what I think, and this is just my own theory, it's not what, I mean, it could be completely wrong, but what I think is what she was doing is she had mated with the mvula in the previous few days. And what I think has happened is Tingana approached her and he picked up the scent of that other male, and he then got so sort of worked up by the fact that there was another male in that area and that had been around this female that his aggression just came through, and he ran at her and she probably tried to defend herself, and that ended up with a situation where unfortunately he killed her, and then because she was then dead, he just utilized the nutrient factor and actually ate her. So it's that reason that probably it happened, or in my opinion that's what's happened, but it could be a completely different reason altogether. Now, Tingana, why are you going this way? This is not a good way that he's going now, because he's going to go through a very thick drainage section, and I'm going to try and see if I can't get round. It's going to be very difficult. I just want to get hold of the guys on the radio that are joining me so that they can get round quickly. Tax. He's cutting south now into this drainage. I think your best bet is just go onto Weaver's Nest, south of the hyena den. Maybe you'll get him popping out there. I'm losing visual of him going into the drainage section now. Alright, so we're going to try and see if we can't get round, because there's no ways we can cross that drainage section. It's very, very steep on both sides, so we're going to have to go around and try and see if I can't get him from the other side. The problem is where he's walking now is so difficult to negotiate on the other side. The elephants have had an absolute field day there, and they've broken I don't even know how many knob thorns and pushed them over, and it's a minefield to get through there. I remember the one evening I tried to follow Hasana through there and literally got completely stuck trying to get in and around. So I'm going to just try and see if I can't get around and get to him. Obviously this roof is also going to make things a little bit more difficult when it comes to trying to actually keep up with him. I was hoping he was going to cut more in this direction, because here it's a quite short distance to where the road is, but the way he's gone now, it's a long way. But I'll try and see if I can get around. You never know, maybe he'll be good to us and we'll be able to find him. He seems like he's in a showing off mood this morning, because he didn't dart away as soon as we found him, and he wasn't too worried or perturbed by us. But so we hopefully should be able to get him again. But we know how Tingana can be. He can be a slippery character at best when he wants to. Now, while I try and get around and try and bash through these thickets to get to where this leopard is, let's go back to Byron and see what his plans are, and whether or not he's decided to follow those hippo tracks and find out where they've ended up. We have indeed. There he is, just poking his head out behind that little bush, and he's coming straight towards this termite mound. No, don't go that way. I was hoping he was going to come, because there's a hole in this termite mound, and we know Tingana likes to hunt warthogs as well as aardvarks, and he often comes to termite mounds and then sniffs around where there's a hole just to see if there's any sign. But he's clearly decided that this is not the termite mound for him, and off he goes behind it. Now, the thing is that he is moving so quickly. He's a lot further than what we thought he would be, and he's decided that this is the kind of route that he's going to take to try and get to Treehouse Dam, which is fine. It's at least nice and open here in comparison to where we are. So I'm glad he came out of that horrible stuff and has decided rather to walk in this area, because this is at least manageable in comparison. And he's going to go to Treehouse Dam. From Treehouse Dam, I'm pretty sure he's going to head straight southwards, and it's going to become very difficult to keep up with him from there. Now, here we go. This should work. No, Tingana, where are you off to? So, Ellen, you're wondering who Tingana could be looking to mate with. Well, at this stage, more than likely, his only options that are maybe that a female in the north. I don't know where Shaluva has gone. Heard very little of her. Not the Shaluva he ate, the other one. So I don't know where she is at this stage of the game. But he could be looking towards that sort of area. Other than that, his options are very limited. He's got very few options in that. Shadow currently has a cub. We know that. Oh, sorry, Tuvik, this bar is difficult. We know that Shadow has a cub. We know that Tandi's got a cub. We know that Shongile is too young to be mating at this stage. Then in the western side, we know that Salahesh has been mating and is possibly pregnant. Moya has a cub, or Nanga female has a cub. So there really is very limited option. I suppose his next option would be Tiani. The problem is Tiani is far to the west, and Anderson's not going to let him get very, very close and allow him to mate with that female if he's in that area. So it's going to be interesting. From the sort of southern side, I don't know what lurks in Mala Mala on this northern boundary. I haven't spent much time down there in a long time, so I'm not 100% sure. There used to be a female called Ostrich Koppies that used to be the dominant female down there, and in Tima and then Kwatile, but they're all missing or gone now as well. So it means that we've got very few female leopards that he could potentially mate with. I suppose in Kanyeni, but she's been mating with Quarantine, so really not very many females for him. Now in the absence of Karula, he doesn't have many to mate with, but you never know. We know that the wild is a funny place and things can happen, and you never know, tomorrow there might be a female that loses her cub and then starts coming into estrus in the next few months. Now I'm going to try and just position so we don't have these bars in the way, because the bars are a pain. But look at how well he blends in this environment. Those spots are just melt into the grass and become so difficult to see him from a long way away. We were commenting on it earlier as we were trying to get towards him, that he really does blend well, and you can see how hard it is at this time of the year to actually spot these cats. If he lay down now and popped his head down in one of these thick sort of grassy areas, it would be very difficult. Good morning, Mr. Tingana. Isn't that cool? This is the best way to spend a day in the bush, for sure. So, Nikki, you want to know how tall a leopard is of Tingana's size? Well, at his sort of highest point of his shoulders, he's probably, I would say, I mean, it's difficult to say exactly, but I would imagine him to be about 2 feet. What do you reckon, Ferg? About that, huh? At the shoulder?
Feet aren't so good, but,
your feet aren't so good. Yeah, he'll be just over a meter at the shoulder. So, I mean, that's maybe more than 2 feet. It's closer to 3 feet. So that's what I would imagine about that high. Now, Tingana is not the tallest leopard. Anderson is a little bit taller than what he is. Tingana is quite a stocky leopard and has got a big body, but not in terms of height. Oh, now we're trying to see if we can't quickly get through here, because it looks like he's now going to go back towards Weaver's Nest, and he's going to miss out on Treehouse Dam. Treehouse Dam is to our right here, quite a long way, and he seems like he's got his nose down to the ground, sniffing something. I wonder if he's not found the scent of another leopard that he's now following along. So I'm just going to let Aubrey go. So, Alice, if you can just repeat that. Sorry, it was just the guys on the game drive were speaking a little bit too much. So, Chitty Chatty Meg, I know you asked a question, but I just didn't hear the sort of gist of the question. You're wondering if it's urine they scent mark with or something else? Well, it is urine, so it's just a type of urine that they scent mark with. It's slightly different to the normal urine that they spray, but it is urine. It's pretty much exactly what it is. It comes out of their genitalia, so if it's a female or a male, it comes out of the genital area, and it's exactly like urine. So it just has a strong chemical scent to it, and it's probably find that it's laced with more chemicals than what you'll see on a normal sort of urine when they're growing up as youngsters. Where are you going, Tingana? You are on a serious mission. Now, he seems like he's got his nose down all the time, and I wonder who he's busy following. So there he goes across the front of us, and he is heading straight towards Treehouse Dam. So I think he might go there for a drink, and it might be that we'll get at least somewhat of a stationary sighting with him, because he's really been moving very quickly this morning. But isn't he beautiful? Look at the size of his dewlap. That's one thing that Tingana has that not many leopards in this area have, is this massive dewlap. It makes his neck area look that much bigger because of the size of the dewlap that he has. Very cool. Right, let's try keep up with him. Sorry, Ferg, if my hat came into your shot there, I do apologize. So, Nia, you're wondering if male leopards would kill their offspring or offspring of another leopard like lions do? Well, most certainly. Tingana has reportedly, I've never seen it myself, but reportedly killed a few of his own offspring as well as a number of others, and they do it to bring the female into estrus. Oh, there was a steenbok. Oh, he just didn't notice it until the last second, so he literally almost stood on the steenbok as he was walking, and you can see now he's looking a bit bewildered by this. Tingana, you were sniffing around and you just missed your opportunity. He almost stood on that steenbok. It was sitting just behind that the round leaf teak to his right there, and he was about to come around the corner and the steenbok exploded out and ran. Now the problem is for a leopard is a steenbok is far too fast for a leopard when it comes to actually outright speed, and so if the leopard doesn't catch it unawares, there's no chance for it to be able to grab it. And you can see, look how he's sniffing where it was lying. I'm sorry, boy, you missed your opportunity. You were a bit slow there. Look at how he's twitchy now, though. He's sniffing and he's listening. Now, with steenbok, the thing about them is, as we know, they're monogamous, and that means that there could very well be another steenbok somewhere in this area that he could be hunting. Now, he knows that if one is burst away, maybe the other one is still lying down, and that's why he'll put his nose to the ground to try and smell where they may have been sleeping. They'll often sleep quite close to one another, and because we haven't seen another one burst away, maybe there is still one sitting here watching. No, it decided it's time to carry on. Isn't this cool? I'm so glad he decided to walk this way, because this way at least we have somewhat of an open run at things, and it's going to be a lot easier to follow him through all the way. Now I'm just trying to work out where I'm going to go from here. Well, I think we'll just follow Tingana's route. So Daniel, you're wondering how old Tingana is. Well, we think that, because we don't know for sure, because he's not a male that was born in this area, but we think that he's about 10, 11 years old, somewhere around there. I'm not sure if anyone's ever established exactly where Tingana was born, but we think, just judging by his size when he arrived, that he was about that. When he first arrived on the scene, it was about 2011, and he was at that stage a young male, maybe 4.5, 5 years old, and he's now kind of grown into this big guy, and he's been around since 2011, so that would make him about 11 years old. Now I'm going to let Tax go, because Tax has been trying to keep up with this whole morning, and he's only just got a glimpse of Tingana. So I'm going to let Tax try and get round as well, because ultimately he's helped us, and he was the one that actually found the tracks for this particular leopard and was able to then see them. Tax. Now I'm going to just try and see. Is he coming this way? Oh, there he is. Just on the other side of the mount. Hello, Tingana. I didn't see you there. I was just trying to warn Tax because one of his guests dropped a tissue, and so I was just trying to tell him that he has dropped them and that he should just try and pick them up quickly before leaving them, because we don't want to leave any rubbish in the bush. Look at that. You are magnificent. Come and rest on this termite mound for a bit. I don't think he's going to, but it would have been nice had he done it. And you can see how he's using the termite mound as a way of being elevated. So from up here, he can probably spot what's going on. And I think he's actually seen something. I'm just trying to look to my left to see if I can't spot anything. I don't see anything at this stage. But it seems to me that he's maybe spotted something in the distance, because his whole demeanor has changed a little bit. He's now gone stationary. He's not moving nearly as fast. Ears are focused. His eyes are focused. So he's really paying attention to what's going on. It's not like he's just ambling through the bush now. He's decided that this is where he's going to stop and where he's going to watch what's going on. And look at that. You can see some of the scars on the face that tell a lifetime of a dominant male leopard. And there you can just get an idea of just how big that dewlap is. It almost goes from his chin. So, Alan, you're wondering what spot pattern means. Well, Alan, a spot pattern refers to those whiskers that those spots just above the whisker line. So you see where his nose is? There is a few whiskers coming along towards the sort of face area, and he's got 1, 2, 3, 4 on that side that you can see. It almost looks like a fifth one in there that's joined up with the others, but that's what we refer to when we refer to a spot pattern. So on the top of the right and left side, why are you... You see he's growling at the Aramark babblers, because the Aramark babblers are making a noise, and he's growling at them because he doesn't want them to make a noise, because he's trying to stalk something. So he's now sitting down, waiting for the Aramark babblers to fly away. You're a funny boy. Here's another story, this leopard. You can't growl at the birds, they're not going to listen to you. There we go. Now that the birds have flown away, you see now he's slinking off into this little section here, and it's going to be quite difficult. It gets very, very steep. At least the nice thing is that we've got one vehicle on each side of this section, and it means we can then follow him along as he goes in the steep drainage and then try and get towards him. But he's definitely stalking something. His whole demeanor has changed completely, and I don't want to move too much because it seems like whatever he's seen is not too far away. Maybe it's this other steenbok that we were talking about just now. Let's see where he goes from here. See, look how he's getting lower in the grass, you see? And far more ginger with the way that he walks. Instead of walking like he was earlier, he's now concentrating on where his feet are being placed. He's keeping his body profile much lower than what he was doing earlier. Earlier he was walking with his head up, sort of strutting. Now he's going into a more stalk position. Well, Ferg, I'm just going to go back slightly so we can just stay with him a little bit. Where did he go? There he is. Sorry, just tell me where the pole is in relation. There we go. So you can see now, he's still watching. Look at how he's perked up a bit. What have you seen? I can't see anything. I can tell you now, I'm looking all over the place, and I can't see what he's hunting, but there must be something that is here. And this grass is so long that if there is a steenbok, we're not going to see it until the last second. So I don't want to move. I don't want to go crashing through the bushes and ruin it for him. So that's why we're just going to sit still, and we've got a fairly decent visual of him anyway, so there's no reason to be moving at all. Have you decided to lie down there now? Look at that. Look at how he disappears. So, Hawkeye, you're wondering what the difference is between a leopard and a jaguar. Now, before I get into that, just look at that camouflage. Ferg, if you can come out for me just a little bit so that we can see. Back a little bit further. Now, that's what we would see. I mean, that's even a zoomed-in image of us driving along. Now, try and spot that leopard as you drive at 20 or 30 kilometers an hour down these roads. That is almost impossible. Their camouflage is astounding in these winter months. That broken pattern just works so well to keep them hidden in the grass. Now, to our jaguar and leopard question. First of all, they occur in different parts of the world. So jaguars are in South America, whereas your leopards are here in Africa. And a jaguar is a much bigger animal than what the leopard is. It's bulkier, it's thicker, it's got massive limbs and a very short tail. And now the reason why it has a short tail is because it doesn't climb like the leopards do. Jaguars spend most of their time on the ground, walking on the forest floor, and they will then sit on the banks of these big river systems where they hunt varying species of food items. And so they look look a little bit different also in that their spots are slightly bigger and closer packed together than what the leopards are. The leopards tend to have these sort of rosettes that are quite expanded, whereas the jaguar's spots, because they're so much thicker, look as though they're much tighter packed, but they are much bigger with shorter tail, and they have a slightly different look to their face. I always find jaguars look a little bit more sort of dopey than what the leopards do, but they have massive heads in comparison to the leopards. And I know a friend of mine who's actually seen a jaguar and leopard, and he says to me that the jaguars, the males, are almost like the size of a lioness that we see here, so much bigger than what we see in this area. Right, well, we're going to try and see what Tingana's busy watching and see if we can't just get ourselves a slightly better view without disturbing what's going on. And while we do that, let's go across to Byron, who's found something not with stripes, with spots, but with stripes. And I think he's just reassessing whatever it is that he saw. He's just stopping and just listening and now having a look around, probably working out what's his best route from where he is now to get closer. He's got a lot of advantages here if there is something close by. He's got a deep drainage section that he can get in if that animal is on top, because he can then use that as a way of slinking up closer. And you can see there he's just starting to go now. I wonder if he's not going to go towards Treehouse Dam. I'm just going to watch him going along, and then I'm going to shift across quickly to Treehouse Dam side. Let's quickly go around, because once he crosses, it's going to be difficult to keep up with him from there. And also, there's a few vehicles that want to come into the sighting, so I think if he crosses the road and starts heading south, he's going to be heading towards the southern boundary, and I'll try and let them... I'll try and let some of the other guys get in before he crosses over the boundary. But let's see... Right, Tingana, where are you going to go from here? Would it have been nice if he had come and drank? Imagine if he'd come and sit and lay on these sort of open banks here. Have a good week going further. Now you want to know whether any other animals have dewlaps. Well, yes, Skip, there are cows that have dewlaps, but here in sort of the wild systems that we see, it's really the buffalo bulls that get big dewlaps. So they're the ones that you start to see getting these massive dewlaps that come down. And then the other animal, which you're going to see in the Masai Mara with Brent and Jamie and James and Steph, is the eland. So I'm just sorry, I'm trying to listen to where he is, but the eland is the other one that will be able to have this massive dewlap. So those are the animals that we see with big dewlaps. The rest of them, not so much. Now, a male lion may develop a little bit of a dewlap, but we don't know because he's got a mane there, so it's difficult to see when they get older if they do get one, but it's more just that they get a big mane than anything else. Now, let's see, where has he gone? He's so quick, this leopard. He moves very, very fast, and it makes it difficult to keep up with him. Where have you gone? There's a big termite mound coming up here, and I'm hoping this is where he's going to go up. Now, I believe Byron has found something that Tingana would love to be hunting now, so let's go across to him. Well, right now I'm just trying to be like a leopard and be graceful getting through a tree, which has been a battle, but we're trying to keep up with Tingana. He's still mobile, straight sort of southwards towards the boundary. So like I say, I'm not going to be able to stay with him too long because I want to give some of the other guys a chance that are trying to get into the sighting. So what we're going to do is do one more glimpse and let him then walk away from us and allow one of the other guys to have a little look before he goes south over our boundary and we lose him there. But you can see he's still walking fairly quickly. Now, careful there, Ferg. There's branches everywhere at this stage. It would have been nice if he had decided to find a termite mound somewhere where he could have just rested on, that we could have at least had 5 minutes of stationary Tingana looking at us nicely. Now he's just going behind that bush, Ferg, so he's somewhere over there. There he is, just on the right. He's going to just go past. I think he's probably going to head, maybe he's going to head towards that termite mound over there. It would be nice if he did. So we'll try to see if we can't quickly just get round that side. It's not easy in here because of the amount of trees that there are. That makes it difficult with the roof, because the roof we've got to kind of fit through much larger gaps than without the roof. The nice thing is though for Ferg is he's not having to duck and dive nearly as much as what he was the other day when we were following that male lion. Good, Rusty, well done. Let's see now. Should come around and just be, if he doesn't go to the mound itself, at least we'll be in front of him that we can get a really nice walk by, and then from there, that's going to be the last of it with Tingana, I think. By the looks of it, he's coming this way. Alright, Ferg. There we go. He's just under this torchwood here, having a scent mark at the moment, and he's coming directly towards us. Hopefully, Ferg, I'm going to just go a little bit forward for you because you're going to get a better view if I go forward. So I do apologize about shaking your camera. Hopefully he's going to, there's like a little pathway that just runs here, so hopefully he's going to just come straight towards us. There we go, he's got to shake off a bit of the moisture that's in the grass after that rain that we had last night. Hello, big boy. Isn't this so cool? So Michelle G, you're wondering if the size of the dewlap is hereditary. Well, there will be some element of it that is hereditary. It's also to do with age. The older they get, the more the dewlap develops, but some males will definitely develop a bigger dewlap than others. So you'll find a situation where Tingana's got much bigger dewlap than the other ones. Now that's what you call a blowout, which obviously Tingana is not even phased by. As you can see, he's just walking away. But this sometimes happens, particularly if you get something like a torchwood that hits it. It pierces the tire and then you get a little blowout like that. Or if you pinch the valve. So unfortunately, poor Andrew, who's just joined to try and see this leopard, I got to feel sorry for somebody when that happens, because he's been trying to sort of wait for us to get the visual of Tingana, and he's been waiting patiently, and as he gets with us and sees the leopard, the tire blows out. So I feel very bad for Andrew, but it's the way it goes out here. Sometimes you have luck like this where things just go against you a little bit. Now I'm going to try and see if I can't squeeze through here. Let's see, where are you going, Tingana? Sure, he's just going straight southwards, and you can see now why Tingana is a tough leopard to find. If you don't find him on the road, you can see where we've walked this morning. It's pretty much just been through thickets, and he strides through this. Now, track a leopard through this kind of cover is not easy at all, and so he moves a lot faster than even some of us can walk and track, and so it just makes it so tough to find him. That's why he is one of the harder leopards. And same with Anderson, he also strides like this. In fact, Anderson's even worse than Tingana when it comes to moving. Anderson almost walks at a trot. He's like a wild dog at times. I don't know why he moves so fast, but he does. I remember the one day we found him at Simamili at the lodge, which is right up on the northern boundary of the Sabi Sands, and it was about an hour later, we were already crossing into Londolozi. So he just absolutely hammered it straight southwards towards Londolozi, and he just goes. And like I say, he's almost like a wild dog, the way that he moves. So, Chitty Chatty Meg, you're wondering if it's harder for leopards to hunt because they hunt in a solo fashion and they don't have the use of a pride system like the lions do. Well, yes and no. So sometimes it is not. It's difficult for them because it's just the one of them and they can't chase a prey animal towards another one. But when you have multiple individuals hunting, there's more chance of one of those individuals being spotted. So rather than just one animal that's creeping along through the thickets, you've got a situation now where you've got maybe 4 or 5 lionesses, and that prey animal's got the chance to spot not only one individual but 5 individuals. And so it means that with lions they often get spotted a lot quicker than something like a leopard would. So it just depends on the sort of situation, but both of them have a very similar success rate. In fact, leopard's probably a little bit more successful than what the lions are. Now we're just allowing tax just to go through here quickly. So, Chitty Chatty Meg, you asking if I've ever seen a leopard hunt. Yes, I have. I've seen many leopard hunts. Most of them have failed, but I have seen some pretty cool ones where they've been successful. So, I've seen leopards killing duikers, baby impalas a lot, scrub hares, monitor lizards, pythons, kudu, young giraffe. In fact, Tingana, as far as I know, we were talking earlier, well, Byron was telling you about whether you could kill a fully grown adult kudu male. Well, the biggest kill that I've seen Tingana on was about a 2-year-old giraffe that he killed with Moya female when they were mating together. So they had this giraffe that they managed to wrangle to the ground. How, I still don't know. We got there as the giraffe was down and still kicking, so we just missed it. But it was the most insane thing to see this leopard sitting on top of a giraffe. It was really quite something. Now, there goes our leopard into the distance. Oh, he's moving fast. Keeping up with him is, I tell you what, is a tough job. It's almost like you're going to gym when you try to keep up with Tingana, because your arms work the whole time. You kind of get bounced around, so it's like a core exercise following Tingana. Maybe this just should be a new exercise fad that we get out there and make popular. The sort of ab workout with Tingana. Do you reckon he would work, Ferg? You reckon? We'll test it on Connor, yeah. Connor's our gym bunny, so we'll try and see if it works. We'll do... Byron says I don't know what gym is. That's because Byron's just scared that I'll do more than he will at a gym, because Byron doesn't know that I used to train quite a lot, and gym doesn't scare me in the slightest. So there we go, he's striding. I'm going to probably try and leave him from here, because like I say, there are other guys that want to see him. I just want to ask Tax quickly. Tax, is there anyone else on standby? I'm just staying back so that those guests can get some photos. There's some guests that are just in front of us here, and we don't really want to be in their photograph of the leopard, so I'm just going to let them get a chance to get some photos before I drive behind him. Ralph. Confirm you coming to Tingana. Okay, copy. You're going to miss him. He's going to cross Gari Main in all of 1 minute. Yeah, he's already crossed the fire break. He's now going over Gari Main in the next, I would say, 2 seconds. So there we go. We're just telling Ralph that unfortunately he's not going to make it, because he thought he was going to have ample time to get you. With this leopard, there's never ample time to get anywhere now. Along Gari Main itself. Now I'm just going to try and pull this side. No, he's going to just go straight across like he always does and just march off into Little Gari. So there we go. Off he goes, and that's the last we're going to see of him, unfortunately. And that's it. Gone, guys. Out. And, well, what an excellent way to start our day. Now, Michael, you want to know what my favorite sighting is of Tingana? That's a tough one. I'm not quite sure. I'd have to think about it. I've had lots of very cool sightings, but I think maybe the sighting with the giraffe was probably one of the most amazing, because we had spent all morning trying to find this leopard. We'd been tracking, my tracker and I had been on foot for over an hour. We had gone everywhere. His tracks and her tracks had gone over the top of ours, and it had been really a tough morning, and we were just getting quite despondent. It was late, and the guests that I had at the time thought that we were completely irresponsible, that we had been spending the whole game drive trying to track 2 leopards, and that there was many other things to see, and that why hadn't we gone and seen all the other things, even though there was nothing else on the radio. But we were getting it in the ear a little bit from some of the guests, and so we kind of stopped and had a coffee, and while we were having a coffee, my tracker carried on a little bit, and he managed to find fresh tracks. And so we quickly jumped onto the car and we rushed into that area. And as we got there, like I say, we just found this scene where there was this giraffe that was over the road. There was 2 leopards, both one on the back end, one on the sort of neck area. Giraffe was kicking. It was just the most sort of out of this world scene, and the guests went from completely sort of hating us to absolutely ecstatic. And we then sat and we watched this incredible process as these 2 then killed this giraffe, and then from there started mating. And so we had mating leopards, giraffe kill, and then the hyenas started to arrive that night, and there was this epic battle over this giraffe. It really was quite something to witness. So I think that's probably the highlight of my Tingana sort of sightings. I'll try and think of a few more, but I've had quite a few really cool ones with him. Right. Because he's left, it's time for us to go, and so we're going to try and see what else we can find. And while we do that, let's go back to Byron and see how his bumble in the bush is going this morning.